Hey everyone, I'm Devil Explains, and today we're talking about gun safety. Now, I took hunter safety in high school, as well as the fact that my dad was a former police officer. So, I have a bit of experience with firearms, but for the sake of that, the weapons I used at the high school were bows without arrows and toy guns, like this one. Now, we're going to be talking about the very important but very basic do's and don'ts. For one, is a don't is doing stuff like that, twirling your gun around, especially considering the fact, okay, now that's important, like you do see in like Western movies. Some guns require a certain amount of pressure to fire. See, for example, that didn't take a lot of pressure. But again, toy gun, it doesn't really matter. Now, some guns could either take a lot of pressure, or guns could take a little bit of pressure. Some guns, pistols, rifles, all the like, some require a lot of pressure to pull the trigger, some require very little amounts of pressure. A do is this: when you're not using it, or when you have it drawn, always keep your finger off the trigger, because this also goes hand in hand with the pressure thing. If you have your finger on the trigger, for example, and this is a gun that takes a little amount of pressure to fire, and you could potentially hit something or someone. Now then, this is kind of a more of a deal when you're hunting, but I have another gun here for this purpose. But when you have a big gun, when you're carrying it, say if you're hunting or you're in the armed services, you're going to want to aim, when you hold it, you aim it up here, okay? You don't hold, because if you already have it, if you have it hanging over like this behind your back, you're pointing the barrel of your weapon in your comrade's face. Another thing, an important don't: never shoot up in the air when you're with someone, or for that matter, at all, because Sir Isaac Newton, with the whole apple thing, what goes up must come down. So if you shoot a bullet in the air, that bullet's going to come down and potentially hit somebody. So, instead, what you're going to do is rather shoot at the ground. In fact, that's also probably an equally bad thing, because depending on where you're shooting, in fact, if you're not trying to hit something like, say, a target, or you're hunting a deer, don't shoot a gun at all. Because if you shoot it at the ground as well, it could potentially ricochet and, again, hit something or hit someone. But again, these are the very basic, but all the more important weapon safety things. Which brings me to the most important one of all: the safety. The safety. Whenever that gun's not in use, regardless of what you're doing, safety on. Never have a gun with the safety off in your house, especially when someone, say a child or an inexperienced teenager, could get a hold of this thing. Because, again, potentially kill someone. Now then, the next thing is, do not drink or take, if you have a type of medicine that if you're taking medicine that affects your motor skills in some way, or messes with If it messes with your head, or if it messes with your motor skills, or you're drinking, do not use a gun. This also goes for people. Now, and I'm not saying this to be in an insulting way, but if you're kind of like starting to lose, if you're at that age where you're starting to like lose your sight, and you can't see very far, or your sight is about to be lost altogether, no matter what age you're at, I would recommend getting training, or not picking up a gun at all. The same thing goes for if you have say, I think one of the, wait a minute, if you have, say, cerebral palsy or something. Now, the point of this video is because it's an important topic. If you're not in the right headset, if you say you've got something wrong going on with your mind, say bipolar or quick to anger without irrational thinking, then shooting a firearm is not for you. Because without rational thinking, picking up a random weapon and then pointing it at someone, you're about to ruin a life and end one. But the point of this video was to instruct on the very basic gun safety things, on the gun safety rules. But that should cover it. Of course, weapon maintenance, especially if you're a hunter, or a weapon maintenance video will come later, but this was kind of the more important thing that has to happen. So if you like this video, leave a comment, like and subscribe. And again, for the sake of this video, I use toy weapons. And this has been Devil Explains. I'll see you guys in the next video.